The planet lay far beyond the reach of most human explorers. Its surface was rough and barren, with jagged rocks cutting through the pale light of its distant sun. A thin, dusty wind swept across the valleys, carrying with it a strange, hollow sound. On this lonely world, a single figure moved with difficulty, an alien woman, her body bruised and weak, dragging herself across the hard ground. She had been alone for 13 days. 13 days without food, without water, and without the comfort of another being. Her species was known for its strength and intelligence, but even the strongest could not survive such abandonment. And yet, she had survived, fueled only by one desperate hope, that someone, anyone, would hear her cries. The alien woman stopped for a moment, collapsing against a jagged rock. Her eyes, large and glimmering, scanned the empty horizon. There was nothing, only silence. Only the barren wasteland stretching endlessly. Her body ached, every movement a challenge, but still she raised her hands and screamed, not in anger, not in fear, but in hope. Her voice was unlike anything a human had ever heard. It was high and melodic, yet full of pain, echoing across the valleys in strange, broken rhythms. She screamed again, louder this time, her throat raw and bloodied. "Help! Someone! Help!" Somewhere far away, in the cold vacuum of space, a human ship floated silently. Its crew were explorers, scanning the galaxy for signs of life and unknown signals. Normally, their instruments picked up stars, asteroids, and the faint hum of distant worlds. But today, something different appeared on their screens. A signal, a faint, unusual signal that did not match anything they had recorded before. It was irregular, broken, and almost too weak to notice. But it was there, like a whisper in a crowded room, almost impossible to hear, yet impossible to ignore. Lieutenant. Mark Jensen, the human pilot, leaned forward, squinting at the screen. "What is that?" he asked, his voice tense. "It doesn't look like natural interference." Dr. Elena Ross, the ship's xenobiologist, adjusted her glasses. "It's repeating, but it's not in any language we know. It's intelligent, I think. Someone is trying to communicate." The crew fell silent, listening to the faint echoes of the signal. It was haunting, almost musical, yet filled with a deep sadness. Each repetition of the sound made it clear. This was a call for help. Back on the planet, the alien woman felt her strength fading. She had been alone for so long, and each day had been a battle against despair. She remembered how her crew had left, how they had abandoned her after the mission went wrong. Her mind raced with questions. Why had no one come back for her? Was there anyone out there who even knew she existed? Her voice cracked as she cried again, the sound carrying across the rocky terrain. "Please, help me." The human ship's instruments picked up the sound again. This time the signal was clearer, stronger. It seemed almost as if it had been waiting for them, calling specifically to human ears. Captain Harris, the ship's leader, frowned at the readings. "It's coming from that planet," he said, pointing at a glowing map. "I've never seen anything like it. Could it be a life form?" Elena nodded. "It has to be. That kind of signal. It's deliberate. Someone wants to be found." Meanwhile, the alien woman crawled forward, her energy almost gone. She found a small crevice in the rocks and dragged herself inside, hiding from the strong winds and the cold night. But even in hiding, she could not stop calling. Her voice was the only thing keeping her alive, the only connection to hope. She did not know who, or what, might hear her. She did not know if anyone would come, but she could not sight Tom. Top. She raised her hands to the sky and screamed once more, her voice raw and desperate, echoing across the barren landscape. "Please, anyone, hear me." In the human ship, the crew exchanged uneasy glances. The signal was fading, and they realized time might be running out. Mark Jensen gritted his teeth. "We have to check it out," he said. "We can't just ignore it. Someone, something, is calling for help." Captain Harris nodded slowly. "Set a course for that planet. We'll find out who, or what, is sending this signal." Back on the planet, the alien woman's heart skipped a beat. For the first time in 13 days, a faint glimmer of hope shone in her eyes. She did not know if help would come in time. She did not know if she would survive until it arrived. But for the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she was not truly alone. And somewhere far above, in the vast emptiness of space, the human ship began its journey toward her, unaware of the struggles waiting on that distant, lonely world. The wind howled through the valleys. The alien woman's voice rose again, weaker now but still filled with hope. Somewhere, somehow, someone had heard her, and her wait was almost over. Far above the barren planet, the human ship drifted silently through the blackness of space. Its hull gleamed dimly under the light of distant stars, and the hum of its engines was the only sound inside. On the bridge, Lieutenant Mark Jensen's hands hovered over the control panel, his eyes fixed on the flickering signal. "This signal, it's like nothing we've seen before," he said, leaning closer. The tiny blip on the screen pulsed irregularly, almost like a heartbeat. "It's alive, I can feel it." Dr. Elena Ross stood beside him, her brows furrowed. "Alive, yes, in a way," she said, "but not like humans. It's intelligent. Someone or something is trying to communicate, and it's asking for help." Mark glanced at Captain Harris. "We can't ignore it. If it's a life form in distress, we have to try." Captain Harris nodded slowly. "Set a course for that planet. See, artfully. We don't know what we'll find, but if it's a being in trouble, it's our duty to respond." As the ship accelerated toward the distant planet, far below, the alien woman crawled from her hiding place. The crevice she had sheltered in offered little protection. Her body ached, her wounds were raw, and her energy was almost gone. But she had heard something, faint, far away, a vibration in the air. She lifted her head, ears straining. The signal was stronger now. It carried a rhythm, a pattern she had never heard from any human before. Hope surged in her chest. Maybe someone was coming. Maybe she would not be alone after all. High above, the human ship passed through a dense asteroid belt. Jagged rocks tumbled past at dangerous speeds. Mark gritted his teeth as he navigated the ship through the chaos. "Keep it steady," Captain Harris said. "We don't know what's on that planet, and we can't afford to lose the only chance we have to help." Elena stared at the screens, analyzing the signal. "It's adapting," she said. "Every time we move closer, it changes. Whoever or whatever is sending this, they know we're coming. They're alive, and they're aware." Mark looked out the window. Far below, the planet was a mix of sharp cliffs, empty valleys, and strange glowing minerals scattered across the surface. It looked lifeless, almost dead, but the signal proved otherwise. Something, or someone, was there, waiting. On the planet, the alien woman's vision blurred. She crawled over rocks, her hands bleeding from the sharp edges. Each movement felt heavier than the last. Her voice was hoarse, but she called out again, her words trembling in the alien air. "Please, someone, help!" Back on the ship, the crew monitored her faint transmission. "We're close," Elena said. "I can pick up a pattern now. It's definitely a living being. They're signaling for aid, and they're scared." Captain Harris leaned forward, a grim expression on his face. "Scared, yes, but that's where humans are strongest. Our empathy, our courage, it's what sets us apart. We may be far from home, but we can make a difference here." Mark's hands tightened on the controls. "I just hope it's not too late." On the planet, the alien woman felt a strange vibration beneath her. The wind shifted, carrying a sound unlike anything she had heard for days, deep, rhythmic, and mechanical. Her heart raced. Could it be them? Could humans really have come? She tried to crawl toward the noise, every muscle screaming in protest. Her vision flickered as fatigue threatened to overwhelm her. And then, faintly, she saw it, a glint of metal reflecting the pale sunlight, a ship descending slowly through the sky, casting a long shadow over the jagged cliffs. Her hope surged, and for the first time in 13 days, she smiled. She tried to call out, but her voice was barely a whisper. Still, the sound carried, small but persistent, mixing with the hum of the human ship above. Inside the ship, Mark and Elena watched the readings spike. "We have a visual," Mark said. "Someone's down there. Injured." Captain Harris nodded. "Prepare a landing party, carefully. This is a rescue mission, but we have no idea what else might be out there." As the ship's landing gear touched the rocky surface, the alien woman froze. Her eyes widened in fear, unsure if these newcomers were friend or foe. But something in the humans' movements, the slow, deliberate way they emerged from the ship, spoke to her instinct. They were not there to harm her. A human figure stepped forward. Mark Jensen extended a hand slowly, showing nothing but goodwill. His voice was calm, soft, but firm. "We're here to help. You're not alone." For a moment, the alien woman simply stared, disbelief and hope warring in her chest. Then slowly she reached out. Her fingers brushed against the human hand, fragile and trembling. For the first time in almost 2 weeks, she felt warmth, safety, and the promise that held a P had truly arrived. Far above, the human ship's engines hummed steadily, a quiet promise that the journey and the rescue was only beginning. And on the barren planet, something extraordinary was happening. A bridge between worlds was forming, a connection built not on technology, not on survival alone, but on empathy, courage, and the undeniable spark that made humans human. The human ship lifted from the rocky surface of the distant planet, its engines humming softly as it ascended through the thin, dusty atmosphere. Inside the cabin, Lieutenant Mark Jensen glanced at the alien woman, who sat wrapped in a blanket, her large eyes still wide with fear and exhaustion. She had not spoken much since first contact, but her gaze followed every movement of the humans, cautious and curious. "Her species is unlike anything we've seen," Dr. Elena Ross said quietly, analyzing the alien scans. "Her body is adapted to survive harsh environments, but she's still weak. Without help, she wouldn't have lasted another day." Mark nodded. "We got to her in time. That's what counts." Captain Harris steered the ship toward the next waypoint, a space corridor known for dangerous debris fields and gravitational anomalies. "We can't take the normal route," he explained. "It's shorter, but it's crawling with asteroids. We'll have to navigate carefully." The alien woman tilted her head, trying to understand. She had never seen machines like this before, floating above her world, moving without wings or legs. The vibration of the engines resonated through the floor, and for the first time in days, she felt safe, but uneasy. She had learned that danger often came without warning. As the ship entered the corridor, the sensors immediately began to beep. Clusters of sharp, irregularly shaped asteroids tumbled through space, colliding occasionally, sending sparks of metal and rock into the voids. "Hold steady," Captain Harris instructed. "We'll weave through, but any mistake could destroy us." Mark gritted his teeth, guiding the ship with precision. Every movement had to be exact. The alien woman watched him carefully, noting the calm determination in his eyes. She had seen fear before, from her own crew, when disaster struck. But this human seemed different, brave, steady. In that moment, she felt a glimmer of trust. Suddenly, an asteroid came hurtling toward the ship from an unexpected angle. The crew reacted immediately. Mark swerved, narrowly avoiding a collision. Sparks flew as the hull scraped past smaller debris. "That was close," Elena muttered, her voice tight. "The field is worse than we thought. We'll have to move slowly." The alien woman winced as the ship tilted sharply. Her body ached from the recent injuries, and the force of sudden maneuvers made her stomach turn. She gripped the seat tightly, her heart pounding. Yet through the fear, she felt a strange admiration for these humans. They faced danger calmly, solving problems with their minds and their teamwork. She had never seen creatures so small accomplish so much. Hours passed, and the asteroid field showed no mercy. Tiny rocks pelted the hull, creating sharp metallic sounds. Each jolt reminded the humans and the alien woman alike that survival was fragile, dependent on skill and caution. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the corridor began to thin. The dense asteroid clusters gave way to open space, and the ship glided into a calmer path. The alien woman exhaled, relief washing over her. She had never known safety like this, not for so long. Mark turned to her. "We're clear, for now." His voice was calm but carried the weight of hard-earned confidence. "You're safe with us, I promise." She blinked at him, understanding his words more than his language. His tone carried a meaning beyond words: empathy, courage, and the unspoken assurance that she was not alone. But danger was far from over. Sensors soon detected another anomaly. Ahead, a gravitational storm unlike anything humans had experienced before. Twisting currents of energy rippled through space, threatening to pull the ship off course. Captain Harris frowned. "We have to navigate it. There's no turning back now. Everyone, stay alert." The alien woman pressed herself to the floor as the ship entered the storm. The air thrummed with energy, lights flickering as instruments struggled against the fluctuations. She felt fear rise in her chest, but something else as well, a strange confidence that these humans could survive what others might not. Mark adjusted the controls, sweat beading on his forehead. "Hold together," he muttered. "We can do this." Minutes felt like hours as the ship twisted and shuddered under the storm's force. Rocks collided with invisible currents and the hull creaked under pressure. But every time the ship lurched dangerously, human hands worked with precision, guiding it back on course. Through the chaos, the alien woman realized something remarkable. These humans were not the strongest or fastest beings she had ever encountered, but they had something her species lacked: determination, ingenuity, and courage in the face of almost certain danger. They were not perfect, but they would fight, no matter the odds. Finally, the storm's grip weakened. The ship emerged into calmer space, battered but intact. The alien woman allowed herself to relax, her body trembling from the adrenaline. She looked at the humans around her and felt a warmth she had almost forgotten: hope. Elena gave a small smile. "We made it," she said softly, "and she's alive because of us." Captain Harris nodded. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. There are bigger dangers ahead and we have to be ready. That planet, it may have abandoned her, but we won't." The alien woman lifted her head and looked out the viewport at the endless stars. She had survived 13 days alone, fought pain and despair, and now she had discovered something new. Beings who would risk themselves to save her. For the first time, she felt that maybe the universe was not entirely cruel. Maybe, just maybe, there were creatures capable of true kindness and courage. And in that moment, she silently promised herself she would survive, not just for her own life, but for the humans who had shown her that hope could exist even in the darkest corners of the galaxy. The journey ahead would be dangerous, full of unknown threats and obstacles, but for the first time, the alien woman knew she would not face it alone. And somewhere deep in the ship, a human smiled quietly, unaware that in that small, battered being, they had just sparked the beginning of something extraordinary. The human ship hovered above the barren planet, its engines whispering against the thin, dusty atmosphere. Below stretched the jagged landscape, rocky cliffs, narrow valleys, and stretches of cracked earth, glowing faintly in the pale sunlight. The alien woman's eyes followed every movement, cautious but filled with curiosity. She had survived alone for almost 2 weeks, but now, for the first time, she felt the presence of beings who might truly understand. Captain Harris activated the ship's scanning equipment. "We need a landing spot," he said. "The terrain is unstable and the planet's gravity is unpredictable. One wrong move and we could be stranded. Or worse." Lieutenant Mark Jensen adjusted the ship's thrusters, carefully lowering them toward a flat plateau that jutted between 2 rocky cliffs. "It's not perfect, but it'll hold us," he said. "Everyone stay sharp." Dr. Elena Ross kept a close watch on the alien woman. She had grown quiet after the perilous journey through space, her large eyes taking in every movement of the humans. "She's watching everything," Elena whispered. "She's learning from them, even if she can't speak." The ship touched down with a soft tremor, kicking up clouds of dust. The alien woman flinched, her body instinctively shrinking against the vibration, yet she stayed still, watching as the humans prepared to exit the ship. Mark opened the hatch, and a gust of alien wind filled the cabin. The humans stepped out cautiously, scanning the surroundings. The plateau was silent, almost unnaturally so. But the alien woman's eyes caught something in the distance, a faint shimmer of light reflecting off what looked like broken structures. Her breath caught. She had seen these before, years ago, when her crew had abandoned her. The structures were remnants of her civilization, towers, broken machines, and walls that once pulsed with energy. Now, they were lifeless, silent witnesses to what had been lost. Mark noticed her reaction. "What is it?" he asked. "Are you okay?" She looked at him, uncertain. Words failed her, but her gesture, pointing toward the distant ruins, spoke volumes. He followed her gaze and frowned. "Structures. Abandoned," he muttered. "Someone lived here before. Something happened." Elena stepped closer, her fingers brushing a scanner across the alien woman. "It's old," she said. "These ruins have been untouched for years, but something tells me it's not just history. There's a story here." The alien woman hesitated, fear flickering across her features. Memories she had tried to bury surged back, the crash, the abandonment, the endless days alone. But now she felt a strange safety in the human's presence. She was no longer completely alone. Suddenly a low hum echoed through the valley. Dust stirred as if something moved unseen. The humans tensed, scanning the horizon. "Did you hear that?" Mark whispered. The alien woman's eyes widened. She had felt that vibration before, the subtle shift of energy across the ruins. Someone, or something, was still there. Her pulse quickened. She had thought the structures were empty, lifeless, but now she realized she was not entirely alone on this planet. Captain Harris signaled the crew to move forward, cautiously approaching the ruins. The ground was uneven, littered with debris and broken pieces of alien machinery. The humans' footsteps echoed, mixing with the alien hum that seemed to vibrate from the structures themselves. The alien woman followed, her steps slow and deliberate. She remembered every detail, the corridors, the broken walls, the rooms where her species had once lived. Each memory carried a pang of sorrow, but also a glimmer of pride. Her people had built marvels, even if now they lay in ruin. As they entered the first structure, sunlight streamed through cracks in the walls, illuminating the dust particles that hung in the air. Broken consoles and shattered screens littered the floor. Strange symbols, etched into the walls, glowed faintly, a language she remembered but could no longer fully speak. Mark knelt to examine one of the consoles. "These are advanced," he said. "Technology far beyond what we've seen in our galaxy. Whoever lived here, they were intelligent, highly intelligent." Elena nodded. "And abandoned. Something happened to them." Her eyes met the alien woman's, who looked away, silently reliving the trauma of being left behind. The silence was broken by a sudden sharp sound, a metallic clang from deeper within the ruins. The humans froze, their senses alert. The alien woman's body tensed. She knew that sound. It was not wind. Something or someone was moving. Mark raised a hand. "Stay calm. We don't know what it is yet." The alien woman stepped forward, her fear mingled with determination. For the first time in days, she felt a spark of courage. She gestured toward the sound, leading the humans deeper into the ruins. Every step was cautious. Every corner held the possibility of danger. Yet with each moment, the bond between the humans and the alien woman grew stronger. She trusted them enough to guide them, and they respected her knowledge of this world. And somewhere in the distance, hidden behind a broken wall, a shadow moved. The humans did not see it yet, but the alien woman did. Her heart skipped a beat. Danger was near, but for the first time she no longer felt helpless. Together, they ventured further into the ruins, unaware that what they would discover next would change everything. The ruins stretched endlessly before them, a maze of broken towers, shattered walls, and strange alien machinery that hummed faintly with leftover energy. The alien woman led the humans carefully, her eyes scanning every shadow, every corner, every movement. She had survived alone on this planet for 13 days, and she knew danger lurked in places humans could not yet see. Mark Jensen kept his hand near his sidearm, his senses alert. "These ruins, they feel wrong," he muttered. "It's too quiet, too still." Elena Ross adjusted her scanner, trying to pick up any signs of life. "I'm not detecting anything yet, but we should stay cautious. This planet hides secrets." The alien woman stopped suddenly, crouching low. Her large eyes glimmered with fear and recognition. She pointed toward a narrow corridor, the walls cracked and scorched. "They come," she whispered in broken words. Mark frowned. "They? What do you mean?" The alien woman's voice trembled. "Not human, not alone, dangerous." From the darkness of the corridor, a low metallic scraping echoed. Dust fell from the ceiling as a shadow slithered across the cracked floor. The humans froze, their hearts pounding. Something was moving, something alive, but unlike anything they had ever seen. Suddenly, a creature lunged from the shadows. Its body was a mass of jagged metal and sinew, half organic, half machine, with glowing red eyes that fixed on the humans. The alien woman gasped, stumbling backward. She had seen these predators before, engineered guardians left behind to protect the ruins. They were deadly, relentless, and fast. Mark reacted immediately, raising his sidearm. "Stay behind me," he shouted. Elena ducked behind a broken wall, firing a stun device that emitted a high-pitched pulse. The creature screeched, recoiling slightly, but it was far from defeated. It advanced again, faster, its movements fluid and terrifying. The alien woman took a deep breath, gathering her courage. She knew these ruins, knew the traps and weak points. "Here, this way," she cried, pointing toward a collapsed archway. She led the humans through a narrow passage that forced the creature to slow down. Mark followed her, his eyes never leaving the creature. "Good thinking," he said. "Keep moving." The corridor twisted, jagged walls scraping their shoulders. Dust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. The alien woman's body ached, but adrenaline pushed her forward. She remembered every detail of the ruins, the hidden passages, the places where the Guardian's movement was slowed. As they turned a corner, another Guardian appeared. Its eyes glowed like molten metal, its claws clicking against the floor. The alien woman froze for a moment, then grabbed a piece of broken machinery. She hurled it at the creature, hitting it in the head. Sparks flew, and the Guardian staggered. Mark fired again, aiming carefully to avoid harming the alien woman. The creatures shrieked, but their numbers were growing. There were more than she had expected. Panic threatened to take over, but she forced herself to stay calm. She knew the humans depended on her guidance, and she would not fail them. "Keep moving," she urged, pulling them toward a wide chamber. Sunlight streamed through a cracked roof, casting shadows that danced across the walls. They had reached a safer spot, for now. Elena panted, wiping sweat from her brow. "These things, they're like security systems, designed to hunt anyone who enters. Why would her people leave this behind?" The alien woman's eyes were distant, filled with sorrow. "They left mistakes," Left danger, she whispered. We, alone, 13 days. Her words trail it off, but the humans understood. She had survived not only the ruins but the traps her own civilization had left behind. Mark nodded. We're not going to leave you behind. We'll face this together. The alien woman looked at him, a flicker of trust in her eyes. She had learned to survive alone, to rely only on herself. But now she realized that these humans, brave, determined, and careful, were not just helpers. They were allies. Another movement in the shadows made her freeze. She signaled silently, pointing to a weak part of the ceiling. Fall! Trap! She hissed. The humans reacted instantly. Mark fired at the mechanism above, and a section of the ruins collapsed, blocking the Guardian's path. For the first time since her abandonment, the alien woman allowed herself a small smile. These humans were clever, resourceful, and courageous. They were not perfect, but their determination had saved her life again. The creatures retreated, their glowing eyes disappearing into the shadows. Silence returned, heavy and tense. The alien woman sank to the ground, exhausted but alive. Mark knelt beside her. You did well, he said softly. We made it through together. Elena placed a hand on the alien woman's shoulder. You're stronger than you think, she said, and so are we, together. The alien woman nodded slowly, her trust in these humans growing. For the first time in 13 days, she felt a small spark of hope, not just for survival, but for connection, for understanding, and perhaps even for something more. Captain Harris, watching from the ship's comms, spoke through the headset. Good work down there, but stay alert. This planet is full of surprises, and we're only beginning to understand what lies ahead. The alien woman looked up at the humans. Danger had not vanished, but she realized that with them she could face it. For the first time, she did not feel completely alone. And somewhere in the shadows of the ruined city, the Guardians stirred, waiting for the next move. The air inside the ruined chamber was thick with dust and tension. The alien woman sat against a broken wall, her body trembling from exhaustion and fear. She had survived 13 days alone, navigated deadly ruins, and now faced Guardians engineered to hunt her. Yet even in the darkest hours, she had never truly given up. Mark Jensen knelt beside her, offering water and a small first aid kit. You're safe now, he said softly, his voice steady. We're not leaving you. She looked at him with large, luminous eyes, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Words failed her, but the emotions were clear: relief, gratitude, and disbelief. She had called for help for almost 2 weeks, and now someone had finally come. Dr. Elena Ross examined her wounds, moving carefully to avoid causing pain. You're lucky, she said. If we hadn't arrived when we did, you wouldn't have made it. The alien woman shook her head slightly. Her species rarely expressed vulnerability, but now she allowed herself a small, almost silent cry. It was a sound of release, of pent-up fear, loneliness, and despair, finally finding an outlet. Mark placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. It's okay, he said. Let it out. You've been through more than anyone should have to endure. Her tears glimmered in the pale light filtering through the broken ceiling. She had been abandoned by her own kind, left to suffer, to fight for life alone. Yet here, strangers, humans, had risked themselves to save her. The realization struck her deeply. Courage and compassion were not limited to her own species. Elena handed her a clean cloth to wipe her face. You're stronger than you know, she said gently, and you're not alone anymore. The alien woman took a deep, shuddering breath. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak, broken by fatigue. Help, she whispered, struggling to form words. Mark leaned closer, listening patiently. You don't have to say anything. He said. We understand. We're here. That's what matters. Slowly, the alien woman's trembling subsided. Her body relaxed against the humans, and for the first time in 13 days, she felt safety. She remembered the pain of abandonment, the fear of dying alone, and the hopelessness that had haunted every moment. And yet now, a spark of trust grew in her heart. Mark glanced at the ruined chamber, then back at her. We need to get you somewhere safe, he said. This place, it's dangerous. There's more of those Guardians out there, and we can't stay. She nodded weakly, her trust evident in the way she followed the humans. Each step was careful, her body still fragile, but her spirit had started to recover. She no longer felt completely helpless. She had allies. She had hope. Outside, the humans guided her toward the ship. The ruins seemed less threatening now, though the shadows still held unknown dangers. Every corner reminded her of the abandonment she had faced, but also of the courage of these humans. They had come without hesitation, risking themselves to save a being they barely knew. Mark opened the ship's hatch and helped her inside. She hesitated at the threshold, a mixture of awe and caution on her face. The ship's interior was unfamiliar, filled with strange controls and glowing panels, but she felt warmth, something she had not felt in almost 2 weeks. Elena handed her a blanket and a cup of water. The alien woman accepted them, and for the first time allowed herself to relax completely. She sank into the soft seat, her body trembling with relief and exhaustion. Mark sat beside her, scanning the ship's monitors. "We're going to take you somewhere safe," he said. "You'll be okay. You're not alone anymore." The alien woman's eyes glistened with tears once more, but this time they were tears of gratitude. She had survived 13 days alone, feared for her life, and faced dangers beyond imagination. And now, for the first time, she felt that someone truly cared. "Why? Humans?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Why help me?" Mark smiled gently. "Because we can," he said, "because it's the right thing to do. We may be far from home, but courage and compassion, those are things we carry with us wherever we go." The alien woman's lips curved slightly in a faint smile. She had seen courage, determination, and kindness in her own species, but she had never truly experienced it like this. Humans were different. They were unpredictable, imperfect, yet capable of incredible bravery and empathy. For a long moment, silence filled the ship. The alien woman sat quietly, absorbing the comfort and care around her. She thought of her species, her abandoned past, and the long journey she had endured, and she realized something profound. Survival was not just about strength or intelligence. It was also about trust, connection, and hope. Captain Harris spoke over the comms. "Good work down there. You've secured her. Get back to the main ship and prepare for transport. This is only the beginning." The alien woman nodded, her large eyes meeting Mark's. For the first time, she felt a spark of something she had almost forgotten. Faith in others. Faith that life could be more than fear, more than survival. It could be hope, and even friendship. As the ship lifted off the planet, leaving the dangerous ruins behind, the alien woman allowed herself to rest fully, finally letting go of the tension and fear she had carried for 13 long days. She had been abandoned, but now she was found, and somewhere deep in the stars, a quiet promise formed. Humans had shown her that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, courage and compassion could shine brighter than any danger. The ship glided silently through space, leaving the desolate planet behind. Inside, the alien woman sat wrapped in a blanket, staring out at the endless stars. For the first time in 13 days, she felt safe, surrounded by humans who had asked everything to rescue her. But safety was only part of the story. Questions and fears still lingered, and answers waited beyond the dark void. Mark Jensen sat nearby, quietly checking the ship's systems. He glanced at her and smiled. "You did well back there," he said. "You guided us through the ruins, helped us avoid danger. Without you, we wouldn't have made it." The alien woman looked at him, her large eyes shimmering with gratitude. Words were still difficult, but her gestures spoke volumes. She raised her hands slightly, then pointed to the stars ahead. Mark understood. She wanted to share her story, to explain what had happened on her world. Dr. Elena Ross stepped closer, sensing the unspoken communication. "Do you want to tell us?" she asked gently. The alien woman nodded. Her voice, weak but clear, finally broke through. "My people abandoned me. Mistakes. War. Destruction. Left me. Alone," she whispered. Each word was heavy, filled with sorrow and regret. "I waited. Help. No one came. 13 days. Mark's jaw tightened. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "No one should have been left like that. But we're here now, and we're going to make sure you're safe." She tilted her head, studying the humans. For the first time, she realized that their strength was not just in their bodies or technology, it was in their hearts. They had come without hesitation, without knowing her, and yet they had risked everything to save her. They were extraordinary. Captain Harris's voice came over the comms. "Good work, team. Get her stabilized and ready for the main transport. We've got to bring her to a safe station for recovery and analysis. And keep your eyes open. There may be more signals out there." The alien woman's gaze shifted to the stars. Somewhere out there, Beyond the light of distant suns, her people still existed. She had been abandoned, but now she had proofs that hope could exist in the universe, and perhaps one day she could return to them, not as a victim, but as someone who had survived, who had been saved, who had seen courage in beings from another world. Elena gently touched her shoulder. "You're safe with us," she said, "and we'll help you find out what happened to your people, if that's what you want." The alien woman nodded. She felt a spark of determination rising in her chest. For so long, her life had been about survival, day by day, hour by hour. Now, it was about something more: discovery, connection, and maybe even justice for what had been lost. Mark leaned back, eyes scanning the monitors. "Whatever happens next, we'll face it together," he said. "You've shown us courage, and we've shown you ours. That's what makes humans human." The alien woman's lips curved into a small, almost shy smile. She had seen strength and compassion in her own species, but never like this. Humans were different, unpredictable, flawed, yet capable of heroism that surpassed technology, weapons, or even raw intelligence. They had risked themselves for someone they barely knew, and that act of courage and empathy had saved her life. As the ship traveled through the void, a new signal appeared on the sensors, faint but unmistakable. Another call, another being in distress, somewhere else in the galaxy. Mark noticed it immediately. "Captain, we're picking up another signal," he said. "It's faint, but it's alive." Captain Harris's voice was steady. "Set a course. We've saved one today. We can save another tomorrow. That's what we do. That's who we are." The alien woman's eyes widened. She had survived abandonment, betrayal, and danger. But now she understood something profound. Courage, compassion, and connection were not limited to her species. Humans carried them in their hearts, and their actions had shown her a new way to see the universe. Her gaze returned to the stars. For the first time, fear was replaced with hope. Perhaps her people could be found. Perhaps there were others who needed help. And perhaps there was a future where she would not be alone again. Mark glanced at her. "Ready for whatever comes next?" he asked. She nodded, finally speaking with a voice that held more strength than she realized. "Yes, together." The ship surged forward, cutting through the darkness of space toward new challenges, new discoveries, and new lives waiting to be saved. Behind them, the abandoned ruins faded into the distance, a memory of sorrow transformed into a story of survival and hope. And somewhere beyond the stars, the galaxy seemed a little less lonely, a little brighter, and full of possibilities. Humans had shown that courage, empathy, and determination could change the universe, not through power or conquest, but through acts of kindness and bravery. And the alien woman, once abandoned and alone, finally understood that in the vastness of space, hope could always find a way,